Hey guys, Caitlin here. Let's get prepped for Classical Conversations Cycle 2. Welcome. If you are brand new to CC, I hope that this video is going to be really helpful to you. Welcome back. If you are one that has been with me for several years and you've seen these videos in the past, I hope this also helps you as you're prepping for the school year. So a little bit of background and how this works, all this kind of stuff. So like I said, my name is Caitlin. We are headed into our 7th year of homeschooling and our 7th year of Classical Conversations. We started when my oldest was 5 for his kindergarten year. And so I'll be sharing just a variety of things that either I'm doing with my family or things that I think are really cool that other people might want to use with their family. I have a wide variety of ages that I'm prepping for. So my oldest, he's 11. This is his last year of Foundations and Essentials. It's also his 3rd time through Cycle 2. That's the cycle we're going into. And then I have a 9-year-old, so he's Foundations and Essentials. I have a 6-year-old, so she is just Foundations. I also have a 4-year-old who's not going to be in CC yet this year. He'll be in there next year. So I've got a variety that I'm prepping for. And so I'm going to just be sharing some things that I do with them. I do this video every year. I did it my very first year, and just I was really new, didn't really know what I was doing, but I wanted to just share what I had compiled and come up with and all that stuff. And so I made a video about getting ready for our first year of CC, put it on YouTube. It was super popular, and so I've continued to do these every single year. I also have an associated blog post that will have every link to every single thing that I talk about in this video. And so if you see something in the video that you're interested in, check out that blog post. It'll be linked and it has all the stuff right there so that you can easily access that. Okay, if you are brand new to CC, this video is definitely for you. It is going to walk you through what you have to have, what is optional, what is nice to have, that kind of thing. I will say, if you are so new to CC that you really don't even know how CC works, maybe you just kind of joined on a whim or last minute, or you don't really know, pause this video and go watch my other video where I explain kind of like what a CC day looks like, how it works, what's the philosophy sort of. Check that out first, because otherwise I'm going to be sharing all these prep things and you're not going to really know, is this something my kid needs? Is this like, why are you sharing this? That kind of stuff. So go watch that first. But if you sort of have an idea of what CC is, or you've watched that video, you visited, whatever, now watch this video. This is the one for you. If you're a repeat watcher, if you've watched my videos in the past, the first half or so of this video is going to be very similar to how I start all of my videos every year, because I know I have a ton of new viewers every year who are brand new to CC, and I want them to get all of it from the bare bones. So if you've watched before, I do have a couple newer things to mention in the beginning part, but it's not much of a change. So you may want to skip through to where I just talk about this cycle specific new stuff, that kind of thing. Okay, so I think that's it. I'm going to share a lot of stuff. Get you a snack, get you a drink, get your comfy clothes on. It's gonna be a long video. And we'll settle in, we'll chat for a bit. Also, I'll say this again later, but do not let this overwhelm you. Do not feel like you have to do all of these things. I am sharing from 7 years of experience, a 3rd time through a cycle, 3 kids at different ages. I have a lot of things to show you, but you do not have to do all of them. I do not do all of them. I don't do all of them for every child. I do different things for each kid depending on what works for them. And I don't do all of these things that I'm sharing. So I just want to let you know that I'm sharing think of this as like a buffet. There's a lot of choices. You can't eat all of it. So pick and choose what works for you as a family. Okay, so now that's out of the way, let's get started. Let's start with, what are the things that you have to have? So if you're brand new, this is where you need to start here. Okay, first of all, you need to have your Foundations guide. This is available on CC's website, or maybe you can find it used on Marketplace, but this is basically, this is the curriculum that CC follows. It's kind of our guideline. It goes for all 3 cycles. So you only have to get it one time, and then that's what you follow until they update it someday. So this is the one I bought our first year and have been using ever since. You also will need a tin whistle. And this is something that you actually will not need until the 2nd quarter, unless your campus changes. I know there's a few campuses that sort of change around their fine arts, but for most people, they're not doing tin whistle till week 7. So you actually don't even have to have that today. But those are the two must-haves in order to do CC. In order to follow the curriculum, those are the only two things that you actually have to have. If you show up to your first day of CC and you have this guide with you and you have nothing else, you're gonna be fine. You've got what you need to get started. And so all the rest of the stuff is just extra bonus stuff. Do not feel like you have to do it. Don't feel like you have to do it today. I'm just sharing. Okay, so those are the things that you need to have. Now, there are some things that will be nice to have, and I'm going to share about those too. So one of the things, since I just already showed it to you, is a tin whistle case. Definitely not a must-have, because for our first 5 years of being in CC, we did not use tin whistle cases. My kids just tossed their tin whistles straight into their bag, or in a Ziploc baggie or something like that, and that's how we carried them to CC. Also, you can get a tin whistle from the CC website. It's blue. I prefer this one from Amazon, which, like everything else, linked to my blog if you need it. But it really does not matter as long as it's a tin whistle in the key of D. So you can get the CC one, or you can get one on Amazon. I just picked this one from Amazon. I heard that it had better sound than the CC one, so that's what I've used for me and my kids. But anyway, back to the tin whistle case. We did not use one for the first 5 years, and we were fine, and our tin whistles were fine. I mean, maybe a little gross because they were in backpacks, but not a big deal. But then last year I did decide I wanted cases. So because I sew, I went ahead and made little cases for each of my kids. If you don't sew and you want a tin whistle case, there is a mom on Etsy that makes them. They're not very expensive, so I'll link that. So if you want a case for your tin whistle, get it, but it's not a must-have. Definitely not. Okay, some other things that are nice to have: the timeline cards. Now, if you tutor, this is something that is required to have. But if you don't tutor, this is just something that's nice to have. These are the timeline cards. They've got a picture on the front and the timeline, like, phrase, I guess. And then the back has more information about it. And they are 5 by 7, I think. And those are nice to have. There are 4 packs of them, and you need to get all of them in order to have the full timeline. So every single year, every cycle, we go through the same timeline song, and it's like this 13-minute long song that the kids learn with all these hand motions and different things. And so in order to have all the timeline cards, you need to get all 4 packs. They sell them in 4 separate packs. The packs do not coincide with the cycles, which is confusing, but that is, I don't know why they sell them separate instead of all in one clump, but you need all 4. But then once you have those, you don't have to buy them again, because those are used for every single cycle. So those are sold in the CC bookstore. They're nice to have. You know, if your child cannot read yet, they'll enjoy the picture. If they can read more about the timeline. I've always enjoyed having them displayed in my schoolroom. And then, like I said, if you tutor, you have to have them. But it's not a must. So if money is really tight, do not feel like you cannot do CC without a timeline card. Because I'll be honest, our first couple of years, they hung beautifully in our schoolroom, and they were a nice art addition to our schoolroom. But my kids were not reading yet, and so they didn't look at them, and I wasn't reading it to them because that was just a lot of information for little kids. So it's fine if you don't have them, but they are beautiful and wonderful and extra information. Okay. Let's see here. Another thing that's really nice to have is a map. There are maps in your guide that you can make a copy of and laminate if your kids are going to trace maps. But it's called a trivium table. It folds out like this, and it has the maps, and it's like a laminated, so you can draw on it with dry erase markers. At our campus, this is what our kids use to trace the maps, and so I also have them at home so that my kids can use those as well. And we just like to have these so that the kids can practice their maps. I do recommend that you use some rubbing alcohol to clean them. They don't erase very well, which is a bummer, but use a black Expo marker and then use some alcohol to clean them. But these are nice to have if that's something that your campus does, if y'all do map challenges, or if you're gonna have your kids trace maps at home. Otherwise, this is not necessary. Okay. Now, a couple of organization things, because I've already showed you a few things. So I have tabs on my guide. Each cycle is a different color. So I have these pink polka dot ones for cycle 1, purple ones for 2, and blue ones for cycle 3. I have a separate video, one of these prep videos from years past, where I went through and showed exactly where I tabbed all the cycles, and I'm gonna link to that, and you can go watch that separately if you want to. But basically, I just tabbed like the memory work and, you know, the maps, like different things about presentation, artists, that kind of thing. I'll be honest that I've not needed these tabs very much. I tabbed in my first year, but I really, until I tutored, I did not, I wasn't constantly referencing my guide. Maybe that's not the best thing to admit. Maybe I should have read it more. But I have found that the tabs were a little extra, but I am a little extra, so that's okay. As you can see with my little polka dot color coordinating tabs here. So if you want to tab it, great. I have a tutorial on how to do that on a separate video. If you don't, like, your life is probably not going to fall apart. So I will say when I started tutoring that it was helpful to have them tabbed. But when I was just our first couple of years, those early years, I didn't really use it all that much. So I try to be honest in these videos and share things that have worked for me or not worked for me, or things that I think are worth it or not worth it, because, you know, I value your time, and I know you value your time and your money. And so I want you to have, I don't know, the most honest opinion that I can give here. Okay, another organizational thing is the timeline cards. If you get them, how do you store them? There's a lot of different ways that people do this. Some people put them in like 3-ring binders and little page protectors. Some people will punch holes in them and put them on like a big ring so their kids can flip through them. There's a variety of different ways you can do it. What I like to do though is I got a box. I don't have a link to this box because I bought it at Hobby Lobby and it's been years. But any box that fits like 5x7 cards should fit it. Now I will link to another box from Amazon that I know fits it. So if you don't want to have to guess on it and you just want something that you know works, I'll link that for you. But otherwise, there's lots of different recipe boxes and shoe boxes and different things that will fit these. But anyway, mine's a Sterilite container, but like I said, it's not sold anymore. I found these tabs, these little tabs that fit it perfectly. They are numbered 1 to 30. So I just use, so there's 7 timeline cards per week. So in week 1, I put the 7 timeline cards that we need for that week. And then behind week 2, I do the next 7 and so on. And then after 24, I just have some other random stuff in the back because there's only 24 weeks of our CC year. So that way each week so I tutor, and when I'm getting my stuff out to prep for tutoring, I can just get the 7 cards that I need for that week, put it in my tutor stuff, and then when I come home, I hang it up in our schoolroom, we keep that up, and then I take them down and switch them out. So that's how I store them, and that works nicely for me. Those are like the must-haves and the nice-to-haves from the CC store. So physical items that you can buy through CC. Now let's talk about digital things that are CC's, like these are CC corporate things. It's kind of what I'm starting with, or things that are official CC things. And then I'll go into like parent-made things and things you can find elsewhere. All right, so first of all, CC Connected. That is when you paid your tuition, you got access to CC Connected. It's on CC's website, and it has things that CC has provided, as well as things that parents have provided, a forum for parents to ask questions, that kind of thing. And so you have access to everything on CC Connected. CC Connected is linkable, so I'm able to link, when I talk about a resource that I find on there, I will link directly to that so that you don't have to go hunting for it. So on CC Connected, there's the songs, the CC songs are on there. There's worksheets, there's videos that you can watch about some of the different things like the science experiments and stuff. And so it's just a wealth of information and resources. So that's one thing that you definitely want to check out, assuming that you are in a community. I know I have a lot of viewers who don't do CC with the community. And so I try really hard in these videos to share things that are available to CC members, and as well as things that are available to the general public, so that people who are doing CC at home can also have access to stuff. So I try to make a good variety there of things. Okay, so some other things is there is an app. Oh, there's 2 different apps. Okay, there's one app that there's an app per cycle. You can purchase it through the app store. It's $10, and it has most of the memory work for each cycle. Now, they are no longer, what's the right word, supporting it. They're no longer supporting it, as there are like different operating system upgrades and things. So at some point that app is going to be obsolete. I own them all because I bought them back, you know, when we went through CC the first 3 years, first 3 cycles. And it's okay. It's not the best app in the world. Back then there weren't as many options, and so that's what I used. That's what worked. I don't necessarily really love it, so take that. I don't know that I would spend my money on it knowing that it's no longer going to be supported and there are other options, but I did want to let you know that it is out there. And it could be a good option if maybe your child has a device and you want them to be able to access the memory work without having to get online or different things like that. So, you know, checking into it yourself, but it's not my top choice. It doesn't have the timeline song. It does have the other songs. So anyway, that's an option. There's another app that CC came out with that is called CC Connected Lite. It's free as long as you have a CC Connected account. So if you're a paying CC member, you can access this app. Again, go to the App Store, download CC Connected Lite. You log in with your CC Connected credentials. I almost never use it. I don't like it. And so I couldn't even really tell you what all is in there, but it's like some of the CC Connected stuff is in there. You can access the songs, but I just don't really like it very much. It's kind of clunky. I have other ways that I find those things, and so I don't use it much, but I mean, it's free. So if you have CC Connected, try it out, see if you like it. It might be helpful to you. Okay, then you can purchase the songs on iTunes. The CDs are no longer sold through CC's website, although I see them on Marketplace all the time. So if you are a CD person, ask around in your community, look on Facebook Marketplace, look on eBay. You may be able to find the CDs still sold used, but they're not, you can't purchase them through CC's website anymore, but you can purchase the songs through iTunes. And so you might want to do that so that you can have the songs at home. That is what I did. So our first several years I had the app, and so we used that, and then I bought the timeline song from iTunes because that wasn't on the app. But that way I had all this stuff where I could use it without having to log in to CC's website every time we tried to listen to anything, because that was an option if you didn't want to pay for anything, you just want to do it for free. The songs are available in the Learning Center on CC Connected. But I didn't want to have to log into to CC Connected and navigate through several pages to get to the right song to listen to it. I wanted it more simple. Now, what we do now is we use our Yoto players to listen to our CC memory work. If you have a Yoto player, I hands down think this is the best option out of all the options as far as listening to your memory work. If you don't have a Yoto player, you don't have to go out and purchase one in order to do CC. There are, like I've already mentioned, several other ways that you can get access to the memory work songs, but the Yoto player is fantastic. We love it. All my kids have one, and we use it for all sorts of different things. So it's something that, like, put it on your wish list, put it on a birthday list or a Christmas list, or if you have some extra, money in your homeschool budget, go ahead and get one. It's really, really helpful, but please don't feel like you must run out and get one. But what you can do is in the Learning Center, if you have CC Connected, if you're, have paid your tuition, you can go to every single different week and you can download the music, the MP3 from the Learning Center onto your computer, and then you can put it on your Yoto player. You can put it on Yoto's website and then play it through the app or on the Yoto player. I have a totally separate tutorial video on how to do that, and I'll link to that so that way if you have one or you buy one, you know how to do that. But that's what I did. I went through, and it is tedious. It takes some time, but it's worth it once you get it done. And I downloaded all the songs, or if there were songs that I listened to that weren't on CC Connected, like we do some different geography songs, different things like that, which I'll share later. I compiled all those, loaded them onto cards. That way we can listen through, my kids can listen anytime they want to on their Yoto player, or I can play it through my app while I'm tutoring at CC or at home or whatever. So that's worked really well for us. If you do not have access to CC Connected and you can't get those, you can still purchase them from the iTunes store and do the same thing. Okay, so that's digital stuff. Now, all right, so we're kind of leaving CC corporate stuff and moving into all these other things that are available at other places. And I just want to reiterate again, you do not have to do all or any of this stuff. I'm going to show you a lot. It's like drinking from a fire hose, but you do not have to do this stuff. And please don't let it overwhelm you. Okay, please don't. Take what jumped out at you, take what looks good to you, leave the rest. And try not to feel like you have to do all of it. I will be honest, I understand, because every year when I'm prepping for this video, I spend hours and hours and hours combing through CC Connected and Etsy and other resources trying to find the best stuff to share with you guys. But when I do that, I kind of get like FOMO, like I want to use all of these amazing resources. And I'll, as I'm starting to plan for this video and my blog post and also planning for my own kids, like I have to rein it in. Sometimes I'll get real excited and I think, we're gonna do all these things. And then I start looking realistically, okay, my kids don't like XYZ. This is not actually gonna work for them. Or we already use ABC and that's working for us. So I totally understand that you can want to try to do it all. And I don't want you to feel like you have to do it all after watching this, okay? So just take what works for you, leave the rest. Okay, all right, so like I mentioned, I don't use the Foundations Guide on a day-to-day basis. And the reason I don't is because I have the memory work all compiled in different places, thanks to some amazing resources that other parents have made. And so I'm gonna share the 3 most popular ones and what I like and dislike about them. And you can decide what you wanna do. Okay, so one is what's called a flip book. So this is a photo album from Dollar Tree. That Dollar Tree happens to have photo albums that have the exact amount of little pages that you use. If you don't have a Dollar Tree near you, they also sell them on Amazon. They're a little more expensive, but it's a CC mom that sells them and hers fit exactly what you need, the 24 weeks. So basically what this is this has a map here and then it has the memory work down here. And it's just a 4x6 little flip book, right? You see that? What I do, there's a variety of different files they all look very similar. I pick the one that can be printed as a picture and I get them printed, like if you, CVS, Walmart, I get my pictures printed through Amazon usually. Wherever you get pictures printed, if you find the ones that are JPEGs that can be printed as a picture, then you don't have to cut stuff. But there are also options where you can just print them on at home and cut them and slide them in to make these. Now, of the 3 like memory work methods, I guess, I don't know, display methods I'm gonna show you, this is the one that is least used in our family. It has no pictures other than the map. So for very early readers, this is not gonna mean anything to them. I would say if you are a family who is car schooling a lot, you do school on the go, you're in your car a lot for travel, sports, extracurriculars, whatever, this would maybe be a good one for you because you can have it in the car. It's small, your kids can review in the back seat. Or if you have a kid that's going for Memory Master, print this out. A kid that's going for Memory Master that can read well, print this out. They can keep it in their bedroom, they can review it. It's not very big, toss it in their backpack. Otherwise, we almost never reach for this. It's not something we take with us to CC, like to community day. It's just not something that we use often. So it just kind of depends on your lifestyle and your needs, okay? The next option is fridge facts. Fridge is in refrigerator. So these are 8.5 by 11, 1 page per week. And so it's got a little bit more pictures, a little bit more colorful. So these were kind of created, the person who created them that called them fridge facts. The idea is that you would print them off and stick them on your refrigerator, and then you can see all the weekly memory work for that week. So I laminated them and punched holes and put them on these rings, and I have 2 little hooks in our schoolroom, and I put them on the little hooks. So this is bigger than this one, right? And has a few more pictures. So this is one that if you are short on space, but you want to display the memory work in your schoolroom, this is a good option. For a couple of years, we did most of our school in our living room with a little cart. And so I was able to keep this on the little cart and then pull it out and show it to my kids. So this is a really popular option. There are multiple versions of it on CC Connected and also on Etsy. So depending on what you have access to, or which one you like better, you can print this off and make this at home. And then the third option, I can't show you because it's downstairs, is what's called, what are they called? Trifold board or something like that. Originally it was created to go on one of those like cardboard trifold boards, you know what I'm talking about, to display memory work, but so that's why it's called that. We put it on our wall. And so what it is every single day has an 8.5 by 11, not every single day, every single subject for each week has its own 8.5 by 11 sheet. And I put them in page protectors, and you can hang those up on your wall. So when we first started CC, I had this really nice wall up in our dining room school area. You may have seen pictures of it either in past videos or on my Instagram. And it was really pretty and we enjoyed looking at it. And then we moved into a house where it's more of an open floor plan and we didn't have the wall space. And so for 2 years, maybe a year and a half, we didn't even put it back up. I didn't know where I was going to put it. And so we just used this kind of as our primary display of memory work. Last year, I finally decided I really did miss having it up on my wall where it was easy to see. It was kind of bigger. And so I modified a little bit. I found a whiteboard that fit right in between 2 door facings in our school area. And it perfectly fit 6 8.5 by 11s. So I put science, math, history, geography, what am I missing? English and Latin up there. And I didn't put the Bible because we don't even use CC's Bible really. And I didn't put the fine arts because they didn't fit. So I put those 6 and then I'm able to put the timeline cards at the bottom. And so that's what we switched to last year and I really like it. It's not quite as aesthetically pleasing as the way I had it with the labels and things at the old house, but it's more functional for us. It fits in the space, and having the timeline cards lower, actually the kids grab them and look at them more often. And so even though it's not quite as pretty as some of the things I've used in the past, it works better for us. And so, yeah, so that's how we have it set up now. And I will have links to all that, pictures of all that, so you can see the different options that I used. Now, and the trifold board papers are on CC Connected, and so I'll link to those. Now, if you maybe have a even smaller space than I do, or you prefer like a really beautiful, more modern aesthetic, there is somebody on Etsy that sells some, and hers are, I think, maybe like 4x6 or 5x7. I think they're 5x7. And so you can print those off, and they're going to be, you know, it's going to be bigger than having this up, but smaller than having the trifold board thing up, putting it up on your wall. Those are really pretty. There's also somebody on Etsy who makes a memory work binder. So she has like a 2-page layout per week, and there's more pictures. It's very colorful. And so that could go in a binder and page protectors, or one of those clear menu things. You can put it in there for like your morning work. A really great option, especially if you have younger non-readers, because the pictures are fun and pretty, but it's not going to be something you display on your wall, but maybe something if you sit down in your living room to do memory work or morning work, you sit down and look at that. So check those out too, because those are some other options, just depending on your lifestyle and what works for you. Okay, now let's talk about worksheets. So some years I do a lot of worksheets, some years I don't do a lot of worksheets. When we first started CC, my son loved worksheets, and so he wanted me to print off a bunch. So we had bunches of worksheets. As he got older, he kind of didn't want to do worksheets as often. Then my second one has never really liked worksheets. But my third, she loves to color, and she's much more she likes to trace things. And so they're all very different. It's been different each year. But I do print off some worksheets for my kids. The first couple of years that we did CC, I used a file box, this file box actually, and I had a different hanging folder for each week. And so I have 24 hanging folders in there. So what I would do is at the beginning of the year, I would print off the worksheets and I would file them in those hanging folders. And then every week I would get those out and hole punch them and put them in a binder, and they would have their weekly worksheets in a binder. And we did that for a while, but every week I would oh, I've forgotten to do it, or we'd get home from community day and I was tired and didn't want to do it, and so it wasn't working great for us. So we switched to spiral binding. I have a spiral binder, I guess, a machine where I can punch the holes and spiral bind my own workbooks. And so now I just print stuff in the summer and spiral bind and make them their own little workbooks. And so that's kind of what we've been doing, at least for foundations. I do something different for essentials, and you can watch my essentials prep videos to see that. But that is, that's what I do for that. Okay, so worksheets. We've got a variety of different worksheets that I'm going to show you, and I've even got more linked on my blog that I didn't print everything off to show you. But I just wanted to kind of share what it is that I found that I like, or that I use with my kids, that kind of thing. Okay, first of all, if you want to do some worksheets with your kids, but you do not want to print from a bunch of different places, you don't want to have to like go through a bunch of different links, check out the Sandbox. The Sandbox is on CC Connected under the Learning Center. So this is something that CC has created. They have curated what they feel like are the best worksheets that parents have made, and they've put those into one big giant document. And so you can download each week's and you can scroll through it. You could print the whole thing if you wanted. It's like 50 pages or something, or 20, I don't know, 30. It's a lot of pages. You could print the whole thing, or you can just pick and choose and just go through there and pick the worksheets that look good. There's not just worksheets. There are like morning time plans and ideas of how to do the memory work. Like, there's a lot of stuff in there. I'm just talking about worksheets specifically, but you can download that and just print from those, and that's your easy button, and you don't have to do anything else. But that if you find that you don't love the worksheets in there, you want some other options, I am sharing other options too. But I just wanted to tell you, if you're just like, please make this easier for me, give me a couple things for my kids to do, or you just want to start somewhere, start at the sandbox, download that, and I've got instructions on my blog on how to do that and links and all that stuff, so that you can check that out. Okay, so worksheets that I like. This is a geography worksheet. This is available, this is in the sandbox, but you can also, there's a file that has just the geography worksheets, so you don't have to go through every week at the sandbox to download and print. And so I have that linked separately on my blog as well. But I like these worksheets. The kids color in, well, this week one, it's the continents. They would color in the continents, and then they would say, okay, like if North America, if they'd colored that pink, then they go up here and they color North America pink. So it's just a good, simple map worksheet to use. I also, and I'm sharing CC Connected and non-CC Connected worksheets right now. Ones that I use and ones that maybe I don't use, but I have in the past, that kind of thing. There's a creator named Sherry Ellis, who has made a ton. This is a timeline worksheet that she did, but she's made a ton of worksheets for all subjects, for all ages. So she has different worksheets for your youngest kids versus your older kids. She has a ton of worksheets, and so you can kind of comb through there and see which ones that you want to use based on your kids' ages. I have used those in the past. I'm not using a bunch of them this year, because like I said, like we're kind of like on a lower worksheet year, but those are some really good ones, the Sherry Ellis ones. Not a CC Connected thing, but these are some of my favorite worksheets, so I always have to talk about them. These are coloring sheets. These are available on Etsy. This is a CC mom who hand draws all these beautiful illustrations for, like there's History Week 1, and there's Science Week 1. If you have a kid who loves to color, these are going to be something that they really enjoy. Like I said, my daughter, she loves to color, and so I always print her off a workbook each year to color those. My older ones don't like to color quite as much. They like history, so I'll print the history ones off for them. But these are just really fun to sit and do during a read aloud, or while you're reviewing the memory work, whatever. She's got some good geography ones, so you can buy the whole bundle together that has all of the memory work, or you can just pick and choose and buy just like, I just want the science ones or whatever. But we really love those in our house. Something else that she included this year is she has made full color versions of the history that she's drawn. So she's got the one that's a coloring page, but she's also made these really pretty full color ones. And so if you want these to display in your schoolroom, you can also get these. She's including them right now. If you purchase the whole entire bundle, you get the colored ones for free. And then I think at some point she's going to put the colored ones as something you could purchase separately on her Etsy shop. But right now they just come with the bundle. So it's like a fun little bonus that she's doing. So that's one that I really love. Let's see here. If you have kids who like tracing for copy work, we've got some, there's a ton of different copy work type options, and I put a couple different ones on the blog. So this is the history, and it's not the prettiest copy work. The reason I picked this one is because it uses the Logic of English font, and we learn Logic of English cursive. That's what I use with my kids for their language arts. And so that's why I picked this one for my youngest, for her to practice her cursive. But there are other cursive options that are actually prettier worksheets that I like more. They're just, since this was very specifically the Logic of English cursive, that's why I went with that one. But there's one creator who, these are in, I think I know, well, obviously they come in print. I think she also has a version in cursive, but she's got some pictures to go with it. It has all of the memory work for the whole entire week. And she's not the only one that has this copy work. There's gonna be several. I'm even gonna show you some more in a second. So if you like to do that, there's also these review sheets. This has the whole week on one page, and there's a couple of different options of these. Some of these have tracing, and some of them, like this one, are totally blank. So it'll be for an older kid who can fill it in themselves. So some families like to use this kind of like as an end of the week quiz to see if their kids have learned the memory work, or to use it for handwriting practice, copy work, that kind of thing. My kids don't really like writing, and so they don't really like it when I try to make them do these, but we do them occasionally. So there's a couple of options of those. Those are nice if you like that kind of thing. If you have kids who are more kind of into like hands-on stuff, and we're going to do a whole section on hands-on activities, but this is like worksheets still kind of. This is on CC Connected, and it's got some copy work, I think, with it, but it also each week has a little activity. So in this one, I didn't print off the other page, but there's another page that has little crowns, and your child would cut out the crown and glue them, and it combines both the skip counting of the twos and King Charlemagne. So it combines two different subjects for week one. And so these are linked, everything's linked, but these are fun, especially if you have a kid who likes to cut and color. And I think there's like one week where we talk about the feudal system, and they cut out people and put them in the right part of the pyramid, just different stuff like that. So check that one out. I've used that bundle before with my kids when they were younger, and probably will use it with my 6-year-old this year. She likes stuff like that. Okay, let's see what else. I've got a variety of things I've printed out here that I wanted to share with you. Okay, this next one, I couldn't decide whether to put this in worksheets or like supplemental materials, because it's got both and it's really, really good. And so I'm just gonna show it to you here in the worksheets. Okay, there's a creator on Etsy who has made these bundles for each week. She's got history, science, math, and English. And each week it's got like an information page. There is a picture that you could, it has the memory work on it. You could display this in your house. Then there's a sheet that has some more information about, in this case is the history one, about the history sentence. So there's some more information about it. She's got copy work, both print and cursive. She has information about the hand motions. Like she gives you some sign language type hand motions to use for the, what am I trying to say? What words am I trying to say? For the history song. And then there is a worksheet that goes along with it. I've lost one of my pages. I'll show you in a second. Worksheet that goes along with it that kind of checks their understanding. So it's kind of a very well-rounded bundle that has a variety of things. So it kind of combines several of the things that I've showed you here in case you want to keep it simple. And so you could just print this off and use it to read through, or you could even like cut them out and make them little cards. But this goes deeper into it because we don't, like this Harold Godwinson, he's not in our history sentence. And Michael Cerullius, they're not in our history sentence, but it kind of takes it a little bit farther. And then every week there's, like I said, some sort of worksheet. So one had a multiple choice. One week it's a crossword puzzle. There's some more writing on the back of it. So it's a really cool bundle that she's created there. Same thing for science. So for example, this week, consumers, there's your memory work for the week. Here's information about the consumers. You could print that, and it's got the herbivore in the front, information on the back. Again, you could print those out and cut them or just leave it as a page. Then there's the song with hand motions. Here's a word scramble. Here's a worksheet where you match. And then here's another sorting activity where you would cut and paste the different animals into which type that they are. So anyway, it's just a really thorough set of worksheets. And like I said, she's got history, science, math, and English. So check those out. Okay, I think that's it for worksheets. Now, sort of worksheet adjacent is the math map. Okay, so worksheet adjacent is the math map. Now, last year, CC came out with their own math curriculum. It's called the math map. It's I guess a classical math curriculum. And right now, some of the levels are available to purchase in the bookstore, and some of the levels are free for you to download if you're a CC connected, if you have an account. They're beta version, so it does not have the whole entire thing, but it has some worksheets. And so if you don't know what I'm talking about, and like, don't worry about this. This is not actually related to Community Day for foundations. This is something that is like separate and kind of ties into challenge and what they're doing. So if you're really new to this, you know, you may not want to not care about this at all. But Math Map, you could download the worksheets for some of the levels and use those with your kids at home, kind of for a supplement. We did a little bit last year as a supplement. We're doing a little bit this year as a supplement. It is not our math curriculum. It's just to get them used to Math Map, because I have one going into challenge next year, and so I want them to get used to it. So I have a whole video on how to find that and download it. I have these covers that I've made. All of this stuff is either on YouTube or linked to my blog, and will be linked in this particular blog post if you want to check it out. So now let's talk about some like hands-on stuff, supplemental things. This worksheet bundle that I showed you, I feel like I couldn't decide where to put it because it kind of bridges the gap there of both of those things. So we'll say it could go either place. And let me show you some other things that I really like for, and when I say hands-on or supplements, sorry, I'm getting my notes back up here. I'm talking about things that are not just straight worksheets. They're either additional things to read, or curriculum that lines up with it, or really actually hands-on activities, crafts, that kind of thing. I try to keep that in a separate section, and we're going to go by subject. Okay, another one that kind of bridges the gap of like, is a worksheet, is it a hands-on thing, is this set of whatever called We Draw to Learn. I don't know, set of worksheets. But basically she has taken each of the science sentences and she shows you how to draw them. So she gives like step-by-step instructions. Okay, so here's an example. So how to draw types of pollution. And so she kind of walks you through the steps on how to draw it. And then gives you a full color example. So just like with the history one, where you have the color one, and then like you have the one you can color, and then she's provided a colored one that you can display. Same idea with this one. She teaches you how to draw it. You could draw it yourself, and then she also has provided a colored one that you can use as a reference when you're drawing, but also if you wanted to display them, you could. So these are fun if you have a child who loves drawing, because this teaches them how to draw the things that go along with our science. Now let's talk about other things that I use with my kids, or have used in the past, or I'm going to be using, those types of things that I consider supplemental hands-on things. Okay, so let's start with history. So one thing that I love are these visual cards. These are on CC Connected, and print them out, laminate them. I put a magnet on the back of them. And so if you have a non-reader or an early reader, these are really nice to use for them to practice putting the history sentence in order. I've used these at home. I also really loved using them last year tutoring, because I had a lot of non-readers in my age group, and so we enjoyed those a lot. Another thing is there is somebody on Etsy who has made a activities and crafts bundle that has a craft or activity that goes along with every single week. And so if you're, a family that really loves to do crafty type things, that's something that you might really enjoy. There's a mom on Etsy who made these guides that take the history sentence and they expand on it. And so that is wonderful. It doesn't have worksheets or activities or anything like that. It's just, you just print it off and you've got like a little booklet that takes a very simple history sentence and goes into more detail. That is something that I really wish that I'd had several years ago, because my kids really loved the history, and so they you know, that was their favorite subject, and we weren't ready for like a full on huge history curriculum, but this just kind of like hits the highlights. It's almost like the back of a timeline card, except for the history sentence. So I really love those. She also has science and she has geography. And so check that out. That might be something for you. Now, if you want a whole entire unit study thing that combines all your subjects for this year, there's another mom who has created she calls it a European History Companion, and it's got some book lists. It's kind of like a really comprehensive thing if you don't want to kind of piecemeal your stuff together. I've not used it, but she did one last year and it was popular, and so I'm sharing it again this year. As far as like curriculum goes, Story of the World is really popular. We have read through that in our family. We've not used the worksheets or the curriculum that comes with it. We just use it as a read aloud, but it lines up really nicely with Cece's history sentences. And so Story of the World is a great option. Okay, then let's see. For geography, a couple of different things is we have these flashcards. These are on CC Connected. There is one flashcard per geography feature or whatever. So it's a lot of flashcards, but this is really good. We've done map tracing since the very first year we were in CC, and I like it. It's helping the kids learn how to draw the maps, but I also found that sometimes my kids, even though they were tracing, they really didn't know what the things were called that they were tracing. They were good at tracing them and copying, but they weren't good at identifying what each thing was. So I started using the flashcards, and that has really improved that with their, you know, they can now look at a flashcard and tell you which mountains these are instead of just tracing mountains on their maps. I feel like both are very valuable, but we have really liked that. Now, for a little one, no, like I wouldn't do flashcards with them, but for older kids, if it's their second cycle through or they're already older, those are really great. Something else, like I mentioned, the lady who did the history supplement, she has a geography one, and so you can, you know, learn a little bit about each of the 5 or however many geography points we have each week. It's just like a little, expounds on it a little bit, and there's a picture from each area, so that's a nice kind of like in between, like maybe not for a 4-year-old, but maybe not somebody, or maybe your family's not ready to really dive into a full geography curriculum. That's a great option. If you do want something a little more thorough, this is Where in the World. We used this last year for cycle 1. We're using it again for cycle 2. Now this has information about each of the areas, and it's got like, it's a pretty long passage that you read. So read aloud. And then there's map work in the back. Now I actually got ours used from another family at our campus, so we don't have the maps. So we just use it as a read aloud, and we use it to learn a little bit more about each of the areas that we're learning about, the history, that kind of thing. So those are some geography options. For science, the one that if you've watched my videos, you know I love, Awesome Science Media. It is a Christian video streaming subscription that does a bunch of different science videos from a Christian perspective, and they have a particular playlist of videos that is specifically created to line up with CC's Foundation's science sentences. The company is not associated with CC, but someone on the company's board or whoever must have CC connections, because they created it's 3 seasons. They go with the 3 cycles, and each season has 24 episodes, and each episode, it just dives into our science sentence a little bit more, and shares more about it, and does like some demos, and it's really great. My kids absolutely love them. We watch those every week. Now they just recently changed how they do their subscription, and now it's like on Patreon. And so I've reached out to them to get some more information for you guys. So make sure you read my blog post, because I'll update that with as far as like which subscription you needed in order to access those videos. But they're really, really good, and my kids really like those. The person who did the history hands-on arts and crafts that I mentioned on Etsy, she also has a science one. And so if you want like one little science, not really experiment necessarily, but like demo type thing each week, that's a great one. It's gonna line right up with your science your science sentence. If you like hands-on Velcro type stuff, There is, I have them printed off somewhere, but forgot to bring them up here, but pages that you print them off and laminate them and cut the little Velcro things, and then you can stick them on there. I used them some in my tutoring last year. I've used them with my kids at home. So that's great. And then there's also an interactive science notebook that I found. That one's another one that's like, is it a worksheet? Is it a hands-on thing? But you buy the bundle and then your kids cut them and create all these cool things. And you put them in like a composition book, and you have this neat like memory work art type thing that they've created. So those are some great options for science. All right, for English, there's not a whole lot of hands-on English things, so I created one. If you've watched some of my videos before, you know that a couple years ago, I started an Etsy shop creating some hands-on things. Most of the time, I don't create stuff. I just curate what everyone else makes and share them with you guys. But a couple years ago, I found that there was a need for more Latin and English things, so I started creating some of my own. So for English, I've made these little Velcro type activities with the pronouns, and so you can print that off, laminate it, and your kids can practice putting the pronouns. And to have a bundle, it comes with that, and then look, there's a page for the indefinite pronouns, so you can write on that with a white dry erase marker. These are like littler ones, and then if you want to do big ones on your whiteboard, I also have these really big ones that it's this exact same thing, but they're big, and so they fit on your whiteboard. Put magnets on the back of them. So you check those out. Those are good to use at home or if you tutor. So that's an English hands-on thing. And then also the lady who made these cool packets, the history and science that I shared, she does have an English packet also that expands on the English sentence a little bit more. For Latin, same thing, not a whole lot of hands-on stuff for Latin, and so I made this. It's got Velcro. Kids can practice their first conjugation endings. I've got the small version, and I also have a big version that, again, can be used on your whiteboard at home or at CC. So there, if you tutor. So there's some options. Math, I love this Poppet. It is a 15 by 15 Poppet. A lot of things are 10 by 10, so they don't cover all of the things that we do or all of our skip counting, but I found this one on Amazon, and it goes all the way up to 15 by 15. So this is fun for the kids to pop as they're working on stuff. My kids use this all the time for skip counting, for multiplication. We use this a lot at home. I also created another set of these print off laminate magnet card type things to help build the different math sentences, the equations, and so you can use those at home or if you tutor. So those are a couple of math hands-on things. And then finally, timeline. Other than the timeline cards themselves are very hands-on. You can use those to play games and line things up, but there is a set of these little miniature timeline cards on CC's website, on CC Connected, that you can print off and cut and use them like little playing cards, or put them on a ring, or put them down your hallway because they don't take up much space. If you've watched my videos for the past several years, we still got them laminated but not cut out. I have had these, one year I had them printed out and not laminated. Last year I got them laminated but not cut. This year, still laminated, still not cut. It's a lot of little things to cut, and then I would want to corner around them because they would be pokey, and I just have not had it in me to sit down and do all that stuff. So maybe someday perhaps I will get that done, but that's kind of tedious, so it's an option. I just wanted to share it. Okay, a couple of more things before we wrap up. One is my own reference binder book type thing. So I keep a couple of different reference things for myself. One is I use actually, like I said, I do not carry this around with me. I don't take this to community day. Some people, they do, and when the tutor that their kid is, the class that they're in, sings a song, they'll write the tune, or they'll jot down something about the hand motions. But I don't like to write and stuff. I don't know. I think I have commitment issues because I always think, what if I find something I like better and then I've written in that? So I instead keep a different printout in a binder. Now that I'm a tutor, I actually have my own separate tutor thing. But before I tutored, when I was just there as a mom, I would print out what are tutor plans, but they're blank. And so I would use that to jot down things that I was gonna like wanted to remember for at home, that kind of thing. I also have a memory work review schedule that I keep. This is especially if your child is going for Memory Master, it walks you through what to review each day. So that, like week 17, you would review week 17, 16, and 14 on day 1. And then week 17, 15, 13, and 2 on day 2. So it just gives you like a systematic review schedule to keep reviewing. So if you have a kid going for Memory Master, or you just want to keep reviewing with your kids frequently, this is a good little download that you can use. I've really feel like I've switched a lot more to digital over the last couple of years. I used to print off book lists and keep all that stuff hard copy, but now I just keep it on my computer because I'm on my computer to request books from the library anyway. So I just pull those up, but I have a bunch of different book lists. I've got them all linked to my blog post. And I use that to like kind of decide what I'm going to request from the library. So, now that I tutor, I don't keep so much a separate like Foundations Mom binder like I used to. Now it's just kind of wrapped in with my tutor stuff. But if you're not tutoring, you can still use the tutor pages as they're on CC Connected. You can download it. You can jot your stuff down if you don't want to write in this. If you just want to write in this, then good, you're done. You're good. Okay. As far as my planner, I use an Erin Condren planner. I've used both the homeschool and the teacher version and modified it. I have a bunch of videos about that on my channel. I'm not going to talk about that here because I don't use it for CC specifically. I just use it for schooling in general. I do not use a CC planner. I know there's a bunch on Etsy. They all look great, but I don't use one other than my tutor planner just for my tutor plans. Okay, let's see here. I did add a section on my blog post this year about Memory Master practice. I included this looping schedule, but a couple of other things. I didn't print it off. I don't have it with me to show you, but if you have a child that's going to go for Memory Master, I put several different review options, proofing packets, all in one section on my blog post so that you can check that out and see if that's helpful for your family. All right, let's see. Okay, last thing, and we'll wrap it up, is other digital resources. So there are several other things that I use. There is a lady named on YouTube. She goes by CC Happy Mom, and she does geography songs. So if you're really new to CC has songs for history. They have songs for the skip counting of the math, and they have songs for Latin. But the other subjects, most of the weeks, there are not songs for it. It's just spoken memory work, like if you download the audios. I prefer to have songs for everything, and not everybody does, and that's fine. So I find songs different places. So CC Happy Mom, she does geography songs that are really catchy and fun, and she does hand motions that help you learn them. So she's on YouTube. You can check her out. If you have a Yoto player like I do and you want MP3s of everything, you can also purchase her MP3s from her website. So I have those linked if you're wanting to find that kind of stuff. Okay, if you're on Facebook, make sure you join the CC official Facebook group. There's one that's for all CC families, and there's like a essentials one, there's tutor ones, there's a lot of different Facebook groups, but I find lots of good help in those. And so if you're on Facebook, check those out. Let's see, I've also linked, there's a set of YouTube playlists for each week. So you can turn those on and learn a little bit more. It just kind of expands. It's not like necessarily someone sitting down and saying, this is the science memory sentence for this week, and let's talk about what it means. But it's a parent who sat down and was like, oh, we're learning about biomes. Here are a couple of videos about biomes. Oh, we're learning about Charlemagne. Here's a little bit about Charlemagne. So those are just fun ways to expand on that stuff if that's something that your family likes. Again, I have shared a variety of different things. Maybe you're a family that utilizes no screen time, and so you want to do some of these things I talked about where you purchase something from Etsy, print it off, and read to your kids about the history. Maybe you guys really enjoy sitting down and watching things together, and so you'd rather get on YouTube and watch some videos about that week's history sentence. So again, don't have to do it all, just trying to share some options. Okay, there's YouTube playlists that people have put together. There is one person who is a CC family who does this doodling through education on YouTube. And so she takes that week's history sentence or science sentence and kind of like does these fun graphics with it and talks about it on there. So if that's something that your kids enjoy, that might be something to check out. Something that I found this year that I love, I think it's so cool, is there's a CC mom who made, she calls it old school art gallery. And so it's basically, if you've ever taken your TV and turned it into a piece of art in your living room, that's what this is. She found art that goes along with our famous artists, and she made like these, they're like, it's like basically a long YouTube video of just still art. And so when you have it up on your screen, it just looks like a piece of art. It looks like they're paintings, but I thought that was a really cool way. You can just turn that on. It's up on your TV. You're using your TV as an art, you know, a frame, and your kids are getting exposed to the art from the artist. I just thought that was really neat. So I've got that linked. There's an amazing Pinterest board that somebody put together. She's got one for each cycle, and it's broken down by weeks, and it's got tons of crafts and ideas and activities that go along with each week's different topics. And so that's really cool. You can check that out and get a bunch of ideas. There's a couple of blogs. There used to be lots of blogs that were about CC stuff, and over the years, the links that I have no longer work. People have taken their blogs down or whatever. So I don't really have a lot of blogs linked for you, but I've linked a couple for you. But that is most everything that I wanted to share, I think. So real quick as we wrap up, I will be making a video, an essentials prep video this year, and a tutor prep video, because I did that last year. I've done every level of thing that we're in each year. I make a video prep for it. People have asked, am I doing it again this year? Yes, I will be. So be looking for those in the next week or two. I think that's everything. I hope I've shared everything. If I've missed something in the video, I will put it in the blog post, because you can't edit a video once it's posted, but I can edit the blog post. So I try to keep that updated and add things as I find them, as I find really cool resources that I didn't see before the video. But I hope that this helps you. I hope that as you're planning your year, that this gives you some direction and just really helps you kind of figure out what you want to do. And yeah, thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful year, and I'll chat with you later. Bye.